It changed a lot for me, especially with everything that happened after the countdown for the Furry countdown and helping there a tiny bit, and then going into staff and then discovering this huge community. It changed my spectrum of VRChat. At the time, I was getting burnt out of the pug, and I was
Mm.
thinking about just kind of stepping away from VRChat and going back to desktop gaming.
Mm.
But after
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion. Unfortunately, Raptor is currently unloading a trailer, so he's not with us. But we are here, joined by our wonderfully esteemed guest.
Mountainman, so hey all.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Mountain Man, for joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you. What is it you're most known for, and how did you even get into this platform, or what you're known for?
So for the known question, I guess the most common thing is people don't exactly know me much, but they probably know these a good bit for a while. For about over 3 years now, I have been running these across the Great Pug and the Furry Hideout, and sometimes the Black Cat. For my rate for in this case Vrchat radio station, but prior to that, and probably going back to it, is a station called KVRR.
Mm.
So my thing is more just an upscaled version of that one bot you see randomly in group instances, except for I do it in a lot larger scale.
Oh, what do you mean by larger
So,
scale?
so larger scale is at one point I ran up to 20 of these. So you
Oh,
would
wow.
have 20 instances running just the same music on the same link across VRChat. And at one point we just called it a radio station. The first time I did it, first time I did it as an actual radio station, me and a bunch of friends on the Great Pug did it. I owned 5 at the time and ran 5 across the Great Pug when the Pug was a lot more popular. And then it slowly grew and snowballed from there. And I kept on building PCs and just kind of throwing it all onto a jerry rig server.
Wow.
And I've been doing it since.
Wow. Before I dive into lots of questions with that, what got you into the platform and running these jukebox radio stations?
So what got me into, I guess, the platform for VR chat was for me was the old Knuckles meme. I found out VR chat existed through an app called iFunny. Yes, that abomination. Um, and I started playing on desktop for a little while. Then I bought a Rift S in 2019, right before the turn of the year of 2020, and in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, and I started liking it ever since. And then COVID hit. COVID hit. I played even 20 billion more time of VR chat thanks to that. And at one point for these, what happened to these was a friend of mine named Bo. We're all hanging out drunk here in the Great Pug. I'm like, we need music. And someone's like, we need a jukebox or something. And I'm like, why didn't someone just make a spare VR chat account on a spare computer? And I had a crappy laptop that could barely run one account, and it started from there. And then it kind of got out of hand and started growing because I was too lazy to move it. So I just kept on building more. I built a separate computer with spare parts so I could run 3 accounts and had them littered across 3 instances of the Great Pug. If one was dying, I moved the other one and I used it as an anchor. I also used it as an anchor point when Great Pugs were getting popular. I don't know, this was long ago. Remember when there was the public cap and then there was the official cap on Worlds?
Mm-hmm.
Long ago. So I used this as an anchor point so I can get into busy Great Pugs that were past the public cap but not the physical cap.
Wow. So
that's how it started.
How did you said you ran at max 20 of those? How did you run 20 separate jukeboxes spread across VR chat instances? Like 20 separate computers? Do you have like a room just filled with monitors?
No, actually. So, you can have at one point in VR chat before it became more VRAM heavy a few months back. You were able to run up to 10 instances of VR chat on one computer, long as you had enough RAM. The big issue was RAM at one point. You could have an i5, and you can have an old i5 in these things, and you were still able to run 10. But 10 VRChat after that, it wasn't because of Easy Anti Cheat. VRChat had a hard limiter of you can't have more than 10 on one operating system. So I had 2 computers running Windows, and I grew it from there. And I was able to run 10 and 10. It was a pain in the butt to do though, because you had to manually log into each account, verify after 2-factor came more popular and mandatory. Then I had to manually log them in and stuff. It took a good about hour and a half each day to log these in and constant maintenance. At one point. It was fun, but I got burnt out on it.
Sounds like a lot of dedication. What kept you running 20 jukeboxes and Great Pugs and VRChat instances? Like, what made you want to keep up at that level?
For a while, it was I really had nothing at home. I was still living with family and stuff like that, and still working though. But the big one was just people actually liked them. I was shocked. I mean, yeah, the pug liked them. But I started branching out into other worlds because I outgrew the pug. And I just kind of slowly snowballed more and more and more, and stuff like that for that instance. Then after a while, like for another part, I ended up dropping these off in a furry hideout when I was told not to because of the moderation they had there. And I was skirting and voiding their staff for a good 3 or 4 months, and running them just to find out they liked them and everyone there enjoyed them too, and slowly started growing bigger in there too.
Oh wow! So, with all of this going on, how did you being in those instances and skirting the staff lead you to running the radio station that you mentioned earlier, or being with?
So there was a big issue. It was about a year. It was a little over a year ago now. About a year ago, we had a big scare with rippers and curling across VRChat about a year ago. Now, in the furry hideout, since I was still new there with them, somebody was claiming that these were rippers. And at the same time, I lost a jukebox to nuisance rank because of that, because people were mass reporting them in a hideout. I didn't have that issue in the Great Pug because by that time it was year 2, and everyone knew these were just me playing music for them. I was packing up, and I knew one of the staff at the time. By that time, I knew one of the staff, and I told him like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm leaving the hideout. I'm going elsewhere because of this." And that's how magically they ended up giving me this banner for the vrchatradio to show proof that I am legally allowed to be here with it. So that's how that ended up happening, and that's how I ended up staying with that. And then it kind of more and more snowballed. I ended up getting on their staff for moderation, and then Janie came up with the idea of running an actual radio station, which is something I wanted to do too. And for a good little while, we basically most of January and February, Johnny and us, me running them across, we were just making a radio station out of, like a legitimate radio station at one point. It was great. It was fun. A lot of work though.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Was from when you first started doing the jukeboxes to when you ran the radio station with Furry Hideout, was the whole experience what you expected it to be, and what kinds of things did you get into when you first started?
So what I got into when I first started, at least for the Great Pug side, was most of the time it was just me running them on the weekends or even through the week. And it was just if I wanted to, I needed something for personal, I'll drag one out, run it as a personal one where I can choose the music I want to play, or I left them in instances that were popular in the Great Pug, in this case, most of the time. And I just left them running in there and just running for days. And I had one running for 2.5 weeks until I had to pull it.
Wow.
I'm thinking of if I pulled it or crashed. I can't remember exactly what happened there.
Oh, now once the Furry Hideout and you and the Furry Hideout ran the radio station, and even back when you ran these in the Pug with 20 of them going at once, what was the general public's response to the jukeboxes being around?
By that time, the Great Pug knew them quite well. They were just kind of part of the nature of the pug. They were there. Some instances didn't have them, some instances did. And people just knew, hey, one's in a corner. They need to turn it down, they could turn it down, whatever else. And this, if they want to vibe to it, they vibe to it and stuff like that. And I was getting people that were following these things around too.
Oh, really?
One point, there it was really funny. It was really fun. I have an old photo. So people were grabbing food off the bar over here and placing it in front of it like an offering or some kind of shrine as a joke. At one point, I had another one where a bunch of people were bowing down to it was a shit post. It's like, all hail the musical god. It was a joke. That's funny. And I didn't know these people either. They didn't know I was running it. I'm in the background on a corner just watching it going, huh? Because no one ever believed that that's me.
Oh. So did...
Yeah,
Oops, sorry. Please keep it going.
No. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, it's like people didn't know who I was, and no one ever believed me, even if I said it was me. Even if I changed the song on them, they didn't believe me. I know the early story was a whole bunch. Now, this is when recruiters were still really popular in VRChat, when they were recruiting for groups, before actual group banners were a thing. I had a bunch of stormtroopers show up, and they were hanging out and trying to recruit. So as a joke, I played the Cantina song as a joke for them. They hung around and got close, and then immediately after that, I rickrolled all of them. And I'm just in the background laughing.
Oh, that's amazing. So, since that's how the Great Pug took these, how did the Furry Hideout initially take them once it became more accepted and you got the banner?
So that was after the Ripper crisis. That's how I found out people on that end knew them and actually trusted them. And it really snowballed after that. After that was in August of last year. It really started snowballing in August, October. It sucked. I had for October and November, I was busy for work. I was never on. I was across the United States. So, but still, like, it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, and people just knew who they were. They're there. I did have people that didn't like them. They didn't like the music. They didn't like this about it. And, there was opinions about, like, why is someone doing this? This is dumb kind of people. You have your haters or people that sustain, but hey, I had a good bit of people that really did enjoy them. And I've seen some really cool reactions in the Furry Hideout with these too. There's plenty of stories I got there too.
Oh, really? Like what? I'd love to hear some of them.
Okay, so a big thing is when I had, especially in either playlist was playing. It depends on the song. You would come into an instance that was reporting something and an issue, and here comes a raid. People raiding, trolling, yada yada, the anti-verse stuff. And a song would playing, and everyone just kind of goes, oh, that's neat. And they just vibe and listen to the song and socialize. It goes from this, like, people, like, no, peace was not an option to, like, what's vibe? And it just turns into a very interesting instance of people just vibing and chilling and stuff. You went from just mostly the furries to, like, trolls to these people to everyone else, the people on the anime side of VRChat. I'm like, So it's interesting how the music can interact with people. I've noticed this. I guess sociology, I guess is the better word to say.
So since you've been running these for quite a long time, how has the sociology of people interacting with these changed over the years? Like when you first started them through COVID, were there any eras that were had specific reactions, or is it all about the same?
When I first started, it was a lot more like just kind of jokingly messing around and shit posting and things like that. As I upscaled, it got more and more people listening to it and people questioning why there was so many at one point. But fun one is in the Hideout in the Great Pug at one point when I had so many of these running, people were getting confused what instance they were in.
Oh.
They thought they rejoined the same instance because it's playing the same song.
Oh.
So apparently that made moderation a little harder at one point until they finally looked at the jukebox numbers.
Okay. So people had a hard time
So that,
distinguishing.
yeah, extinguishing instances because of that. Even, yeah, because it was funny. I could literally like I'm dropping a whole bunch of them off. People would join an instance out here. I just left this instance. I'm like, no, you didn't. You just came from the other one. I just dropped off one.
Oh, okay. Now, what made you switch to adding more of these initially, may I ask? Like going from like 3 that you ran to like adding more and more, and what led you to stopping doing so many?
So I grew because I just had fun doing it,
Hmm.
and it was mostly just to see how far I could go with it. It was mostly for the meme until it got out of hand, and it stopped after 2 computers because I couldn't financially afford more than that.
Hmm.
Because now I'm getting in computer parts, not 20, 30, 40 bucks here because of this. Now I'm getting components that's 100 there, 200 here, there, and it was adding up.
Hmm.
So after 3 computers, I was done with between my main computer and the 2 other ones.
Hmm.
After that, I stopped, and 20 was good enough, and then it was getting in. Then I was starting to get into stability issues because of VRChat updates and VRChat demanding more and more on the VRAM. And after that last update a couple months ago, that's when it dropped off the face for 1 month though. It was hilarious. For 1 month, VRChat removed that limiter of 10 accounts on one operating system.
Hmm.
And I had 164 gigs on one computer, and I had all 20 of them running on one computer. And then I had another 15. And then I borrowed other people's accounts and put another 15 on the other computer just to see if I could do it once. And then, like, after that, I left for work, and then that update came, and that went out the window.
Hmm. So back when these ran, I have a question. If you had so many running on a computer, how did you maintain and keep an eye on all of them? It sounds like a lot of work just dancing between the windows in order to make sure all the jukeboxes are functioning. And
Yes. Now, I had 2 times with this. So at one point, I had a wall of monitors,
Hmm.
where I had two monitors on each computer, and 2
Hmm.
monitors can have 5 and 5 accounts on each. And then put 2 and 2, and then add the main rig. So it was a wall, and I could literally scoot over. Like I'm sitting there just messing around on the at one point, I was just talking to some of the staff at Hideout, and I could like scroll over and say, "You're about to get a ticket for something because people are spamming the vote to kick option in an instance."
Hmm.
So at one point, I'm always watching. At one point, because I could just see what everything was going on. I couldn't hear anybody. I didn't have audio on. I didn't show avatars because processing power. Um, because its calling was basically set to 0, so it can't see. These things can't see or hear anybody.
Oh.
But I could still get the notifications for instances. So, like I said, at one point, I was just like seeing this one, seeing this one, seeing this one, and I had to be home when running these. I couldn't really go out anywhere and leave them running because they will crash, rejoin the instance, and then be trapped in spawn, and I'm not home to move them. So the only time I could really run them was home and physically watching them, and that got
Hmm.
taxing.
I'm sure.
And then later I moved them all into my basement. I'll probably do that again in the winter because last winter I ran these in February. Uh, when I ran all of them in February, it was legitimately heating my basement. Like my
Oh.
floorboards were actually getting warm.
Oh, wow.
That's how hot they were getting between
Damn.
all 3 rigs.
Damn.
But oh yeah.
Oh, wow. So since you plan on running these again after the update that kind of made it difficult to run multiples of these, how many are you going to be able to run this year?
If I try to do the winter, my max is gonna be 12 because that's all the VRAM. Because both computers have 8 gigs of VRAM, and that's all I can push.
Mm.
You can kind of get 7, but you're getting into severe stability issues and the whole computer crashing, and it's just a pain to restart from the ground up again and re-log into all the accounts.
Mm.
And I don't feel like spending a whole lot of money on graphics cards.
I don't blame you.
More VRAM.
I don't blame you. VRAM and graphics cards are expensive nowadays. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
Oh yeah.
So over the years, what did you learn anything specific or anything you enjoyed from the memories of running these at all? Anything come to mind?
Oh man, memories. Most of the time, it was just a big one I used to do a lot, but I don't do it anymore. It was a friend of mine named Rishi. Me and him would stand here and do karaoke with these or whatever song that was playing. So a big one is Mr. Ribato from Styx. I like my Elton John, so Rocket Man was a great one. I love to get drunk to and karaoke with, and that was a big thing we did for years. In the Great Pug. So that's another probably the biggest one. The other one is just more of the vibe that you can get, especially in the Pug in the early days, was just the kind of the vibe you got from the community and stuff. Here, people would actually treat the bar as an actual bar. People would be sitting in the booth. People would just be hanging around here, drinking, listening to the music. You basically it pulled off the feeling of an actual bar.
Oh, really?
Virtual, like people were treated like an actual bar. It was really fun.
Oh,
at one point for that. For here. For the Hideout, it was different because it was just mass production. It was just mass amount of people for that one, but that was also like because people would come up and interact with it a lot. The number of times I had people yelling at this thing to change the song, and I'm like, it doesn't hear you. It doesn't do anything. Something evil I did, like I was talking about, when I had all 20 at one point, on like one night on Friday night, I rigged it to have 5 songs I knew back to back that would be interactive, like Queen's Bohemian Rap, Piano Man. Surprisingly, Mr. Roboto wasn't that popular, sadly, for a lot of people. And songs like those. And then immediately after, because all I would see is a crowd coming around and hanging out, a good crowd of like 7 people each on each instance. And then I would immediately play Rick Ashley's Rickroll. So you just hear a collective going, ah.
That is beautiful. I bet you enjoyed every minute of doing those.
Those were funny. Very funny to me.
Indeed. Now, I'd like to ask a question about the Furry Hideout Radio as well, some of the technicals. What was it like running those versus what you were doing in the Pug as well when you joined in with the rest of the crew to run that radio station?
So that was a little bit different. There wasn't too much on the physical end for that. Janie is just no software. I don't know software. And he set up a system where it's an actual radio station system through a Linux operation. And it would you could actually like correlate the songs, correlate the intro from whatever Johnny Cam would record. He recorded and it would correlate to the song playing afterwards and things like that. And it was really cool to see that. So whenever it was a lot more relevant at the time for whatever Johnny had recorded, it was just playing. He would do an intro, a really cool intro, like an actual radio station, and it was just awesome to hear his voice with it. And then you had Janie that was running the more technical side of that section, and then I was running the physical hardware. So it was definitely a 3-part series. And then also we had Corbell come into play at that time too. He gave us a lot of the talents. He basically gave us his entire talent book of music.
Oh wow!
To help so we could fill it out. You can Like all these are different songs that were on that radio station's playlist, from Whispers, the TFM Jami, to When Snake Sings, to Electrical Nine, which is another smaller one. He's pretty cool. You got Xanther and stuff
Oh
like that. And
wow.
that's how I even discovered these artists. I didn't know these artists existed prior to that. I just lived here underneath a rock. So
Oh.
the radio station for me was also a big eye opener of VR chat community overall. I had no idea any of these people existed until I started placing these in the hideout. And then the radio station came into play.
Oh wow. So by listening and taking a part of with the Furry Hideout Radio, how much has your music taste changed because of the VR chat music scene?
Quite a bit. I still do my classic rock, still prefer it, but I have a separate section for a lot of the artists here, like Whispers, Ivy Comb, and a couple others like Soul Major.
Hmm.
So I discovered a lot of them, and I've been listening. Of course, TMF Johnny and stuff. I knew him actually prior from the "Welcome to VR Chat" song, but I didn't find out he also did some of his older stuff. Did covers for like he did Toto Africa and stuff like that, which I have that one saved because I like it. And then Soul Major did American Pie, not Soul Major, sorry. When Snake Sins did American Pie. What's another cover I actually like? They
Hmm.
both did really good covers, in my opinion, for classic rock songs.
Oh wow. Now, do you go back now nowadays when you run your non-furry hideout radio jukeboxes? Do you work in those kinds of music to your list, or do you go back to your classic rock list?
I go back to the classic rock list because I have tried and people catch on very quickly and they do not like them. They are
Ah.
very, here is very traditionalist here with that.
Hmm.
Very traditional, not in the furry scene at all or anything like that.
Hmm.
So, just does not work. That's from
Interesting.
experience.
Interesting.
So,
So the tastes between the two worlds of music are very different then.
very, very different, very divided. Furry Hideout and more of the furry side likes more of the techno and DJs. Very
Hmm.
much so loves the DJs and stuff, while the Great Pug is more of relax and vibe and more of the classic rock, at least what I've noticed. There is people that like the DJ stuff. There's actual DJs that used to hang out here until they got popular and busy. But
Hmm.
if they do, they're more into electric or whatever. I forget what type it's called for more electric than regular than what DJs do on the furry side of VR chat.
Hmm. Okay. So within the Furry Hideout, once the radio station took hold, what was the Furry Hideout's people who hang there receive the radio station once it started being worked out, and you had people on TFM Johnny and stuff?
Um, that went very well actually. A lot of people would turn on, especially when we first started doing. People would turn around, going, "Wait, what?" Because it immediately switched from that classic rock immediately to this. To TF and Johnny and all them, and they were like, "Huh, wait," and then they caught on and found out all these artists because of it.
Hmm.
I don't know how much I helped with their recognition. I hope I helped a tiny bit, um, but it was very interesting to see how people interact with it, and I had a lot of people really did like it. I would hear it in the background of people like, "Oh, this song's awesome" and stuff like that, and they would show their friend that was playing it. They had a friend that was there that didn't know who they were at all, and I was playing the song through it. So I
Hmm.
seen that a lot. So it was really neat
Okay.
to
So
hear that.
what was the reception from the VR chat homegrown artists, knowing that there's a VR chat radio station that was playing around? How did they receive the whole experience?
Um, the first one that really knew and found out was Johnny Canine. He really liked the idea of it.
Hmm.
He was a really big supporter of starting out when he discovered it. A lot of the other artists actually don't even know these really run. It was all ran through Corbell, and Corbell just kind of gave the list.
Hmm.
Some of the others do know. They like it. They're like, hey, it's neat and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it wasn't. I've never had any issues with any of the artists at all ever going why. So I'll take that as a huge win for me. But a lot of them it's like it's VR chat. What do you expect? Kind of moment.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, I think the whole idea of having a VRChat radio station is actually, I think it's dope, especially since Raptor and I over the years have kind of learned of all the how big the music scene here is, and I'm sure you and the crew found out how much you can fill a radio wave with just VRChat content.
Yeah, that was like I said, I didn't know any of these artists existed prior to this,
Hmm.
and it was just the amount of people was like, what, huh? It was definitely crazy at the time when we were still very much so running it.
Hmm. So, how long did it take you to catch up with some of the music coming in? Did you find it hard to get content in, or did you very quickly just immediately start following suit and keeping up with it all?
For my personal stuff, I've never been able to keep up with it at all. Never. I have a horrible time trying to keep up, especially with my work. That's where Janie and Johnny came into play very much so. They knew the scene. They knew how it worked.
Mm.
So, and they knew all the artists already. So those ones were the big ones that got them in. And I started listening to it when I'm at work. I drive a whole lot for work, and a lot of times, I even till this day, I still tune into the radio station and see
Ooh.
if it's anything else is added and stuff like that.
Oh, so you can tune into the radio station at any point in time, not just through the jukebox?
Uh, Not officially, because then we just don't the server issue on that end because people
Mm.
trying to do a direct link to it will crash the server.
Ah.
Yeah, it sucks when it's been wanting to do it. We tried to do it. It's just the money and trying to run a server that's capable of doing it. And I can't run it in house because it's literally a direct link to my house network, which is no, I don't want that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So we never could. We only ever used it. I only ever used it when I'm on the road, or Janie used it the vibe when he was working, or I don't know what Johnny ever did with it. I don't know if he chilled with it or not.
Mm.
And we had that was the only us we were able to directly listen to. Anyone else, sadly, only could hear him through this. Was the only option.
Mm.
I wish we could have done something at the time, but it just never. I was never able to really help.
Hmm. Well, even if you don't have that link where people can go to, still having like that old school have to sit around a radio vibe. Honestly, I think it's pretty sick though. You have to be a certain place at a certain time in a certain instance to even get this unique experience. I think, I think it's interesting and dope. But that's just me.
Well, there is one I forgot about. Oh, Jane
Hmm.
would be mad at me if I didn't say this. He also set up one in the Discord for the Furry Hideout. There is one that
Oh.
does play it there. That's the only option you got. It stays in there. It crashes once in a while, but he's always there to fix it.
Oh.
Even to this day. So yeah, that's the other option, which is a lot more common, a lot more accessible through the Discord. But still, a lot of people, it's just the only way you could listen to these here, because a lot of people outside of the hideout don't know that it's there.
Hmm. Okay. Well, at least there's also the place in the Discord that people can go to instead of like a special link. But still, either of them is still pretty sick. You still have to go to a place to watch it or listen. That's not like YouTube or a radio wave station or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Still, it's definitely an interesting concept how this ended up panning out overall with the radio and just how it works.
Indeed.
So.
How has all of this changed your perspective of VR chat since you've done the jukeboxes and helped out with the radio station? Has your perspective of VR chat changed at all?
It has very much so changed, especially in the last year that I started going outside the pug. So outside of that, prior to the here, like I said, I lived here underneath a rock. I still really living off underneath a rock, a lot of times. A lot of times I just use glitch to follow around to find events that are going on. But on a different note, for that, back to the note. It changed a lot for me, especially with everything that happened after the countdown for the Vrchat countdown and helping there a tiny bit, and then going into staff and then discovering this huge community. It changed my perspective of VRChat. At the time, I was getting burnt out of the pug, and I was thinking about just kind of stepping away from VRChat and going back to desktop gaming.
Mm.
But after going there, I was like, oh, wow, there's tons to do here. Oh, oh. um, yeah, and of course, thanks to that is how I ended up being a furry. I ended up becoming a furry actually. So prior to that, I was a very much of a denier of it, even though I've been in this avatar for 4 years.
So that leads a question. What made you want to become a furry once you've left? What made you want to make the decision of, I'm this now?
When it was all because of a bet actually. So Janie convinced me to do a Patreon for this. And I did it for a tiny bit. It's gone now, it's deleted. I did it for a tiny bit of time last year, and someone actually put money to it. I thought no one ever would. I even tried to set up the fail to make sure no one did it. And someone threw $1 in there and went, here. Someone random, no clue who he is.
Oh.
No clue. And he went, and I was like, here. And then I lost the bet, and now it's just like, okay, yeah. Like, I guess I'm a furry now. And I've just been liking it ever since. I even ended up going to a con somewhat recently.
Wow. So all because you left the pug initially into different instances then?
Mostly, yes. Yeah, that's how I ended up in that situation. Well, a funny situation at least. And it's just overall, like I said, it's just been a really big eye opener for VRChat and me discovering all this stuff. I'm hoping to continue discovering more.
So what kinds of things did you start discovering after you spent so much time in the pug and then left out? What were some of the things you did and found?
So the big ones I found starting initially for me was of course, the music, because then I started hanging out with some of the staff and other people in the hideout because I just started hanging out there more and more. I originally would just drop them off and immediately leave, and then I started hanging out more. And hardware. Oh, damn! Freaking hardware failed. Oh my god, this valve indexed.
Oh. Sorry, people. Give us a moment.
Oh, damn! Freaking hardware failed. Oh my god, this valve.
Well, in the meantime, Future Live, this is a great time to run an ad. Hello, we're here to interrupt the most interesting thing being said in our current video to ask you a favor, which is, would you mind joining us on any of the socials we have, such as Discord? We're hanging out all the time playing video games, so you can catch us there very frequently. We have I run Twitter for us, which is LionTurtle21 on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It'll always be Twitter. But either way, there's that. We also have a Patreon, which we actually have a whole other show for our Patreon members, which are Aliquum and the newest addition to the bunch, Future Oracle,
Niche, and Forbidden Zero, good friends of ours.
Yeah, thank you very much, you guys, for joining. It means a whole lot that you're there. And hope to see you there as well. We have a whole other show. There are some free ones we have released as well for the audio for you to listen to and to see what it's like. It's like a whole other show as a thank you. With that said, please enjoy the rest of your podcast on YouTube.
Anyway, where was I? But yeah, hardware crap. I need to buy another cable. But yes, so when I started hanging out with staff and stuff, and people asked me, do you know this artist? Do you know this? The big one I heard when I first started was Whisper. Everyone all of a sudden was freaking out about this artist Whisper. I'm like, what? Like, who's that? I don't know. I'm like, and everyone's freaking out because he ended up in an instance just doing an open mic for the hell of it. And I'm like, who's this? I don't know. And everyone just looked at me like dumbfounded, like, you don't know who he is and you play music? I'm like, no. And it was just, and that was a big one shot eye opener starting out was that. And I slowly started discovering more and more people. Another big one was when I first met Corbell and stuff, and I found out who he was, and I'm like, but he was the first one I ever discovered that did the music scene in VRChat. I knew the rave thing existed in VRChat because I had friends that ran raves, but I'm not a rave person. And then I found out there's actual music festivals and things like that from Corbell, and I'm like, oh, wait, there's an entire ecosystem here. And I was like, what the? I was like, what the hell? And then the Furry Hideout countdown happened, and I'm like, that was my first ever furry event I ever been to, and I
Ooh.
thought it was like really cool to meet all these people and stuff.
Oh, wow. So, are you still alive? Oh.
What do you mean? Huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
you went silent. I thought you crashed, or I crashed. Sorry.
No. No.
So, when you went to both events, both Corbell's Music Festival events and the Furry Hideout Countdown, what were your initial perspectives seeing those events for the first time, and what was the experience like from your eyes?
The experience to me was like just going, wow, this is a thing, and the music's not bad. I actually like it. It's actually chill compared to the rave scene, which is just very loud and obnoxious and very tight and cornered. And I just like, this is a lot better to me, and people were just chilling and hanging out. If you want to listen to the music, you go way up front. If you want to hang out and chill in the background, you have the option to do that. And it was just really fun to hang out and socialize with people I'd never met before. It was really funny when they were doing testing for the Furry Hideout Countdown. They asked, I got a message to say, bring the jukeboxes. And I'm like, huh? And to do a load test, I brought a whole bunch of them into an instance. And we ended up socializing for an hour and a half there.
Oh, so you load tested the world with how many jukeboxes?
Sadly, you can only have up to 6 in one instance. That's between 2 operating systems, and now you can't even do 6 now. You can only do 3.
Oh, interesting.
The only reason why I got 6 in there is because I used my work's hotspot to connect one of the computers to it, so it would be a different IP. Because this is past easy anti-cheat, so you can't use a simple VPN then.
So, are you glad you made those trips into those events to explore the rest of VRChat in general? Are you glad you're out here exploring things, the rest of the community?
Oh yes, it's been very fun ever since. It's the reason why I've been able to just, every time I'm gone from work, I'm missing VR chat, I'm wanting to hang out again and see what's next. It's just been so much fun ever since that. It's always something new now compared to the same old of this place. So sometimes I come back here and hang out, but it's nothing compared to what's going on in some of these events. And the sad part is I still live underneath a rock, so the only way I find out is through other people's word of mouth. But still, it's been very fun.
Well, at least from the bright side, you get to live the first time player experience again. Unlike most people who's been in VR chat and played a while after a couple hundred to 1,000 hours, a lot of people feel like, oh, it's VR chat and everything feels the same old. But at least now you get the whole, wow, this is awesome. Look at all the cool things. Look at all the shiny things now. So at least you get that experience again.
I never thought of it like that, actually, because I never actually did. Because I know so many of my old friends that are getting really burnt out of the game and stuff, and I'm still going strong, and I try to convince them, hey, do you want to go check this out out of curiosity? But they're like, no, because they're like, no, and no, because they're not into the furry side of VR chat. But I'm like, just go. Like, I'm not asking you to go dress up. I'm just saying, just go check it out if you're bored. But it has been very cool to basically repeat the very early days of VRChat for me again. That is a really good way to put it. And it's been fun.
So, question for you: there's something I'd like to suggest to you, and you all of you watching too, if you haven't seen it yet. Most of us because it's really sick. But have you heard of Apple and Adidas's hologram system? If you haven't, it's really fucking sick, where they combine a bunch of particles and lights to make moving images in a world for like a rave world. It's sick if you haven't seen it. It's same thing in Moonpool.
Yes, I have seen it. Corbell uses it. I've seen Corbell use it. They also used it at the Furry Hideout Countdown. That was an early test of it, if I'm correct. I'm not fully sure. I'm not part of their team or anything like that. But yeah, I've seen that. It's been a really cool system. And of course, Furry also did that too. They did that hologram system too, which was really neat.
Yeah, it is really neat. So with that said, what kinds of things do you hope to experience in the future? Like as you kind of see at anything you're looking at.
Well, okay, this is a weird combination one for me. So, the big one has been, to me, is being able to meet all these different artists and all these different coordinators. It's been really something I've been liking is picking some of the brains of some of these coordinators that do these events and just seeing how just kind of seeing how it somewhat works. And it's just it's really cool to see how they do these operations and and I get to meet all these different coordinators and stuff once in a while through other people and just through word of mouth of people and things like that. And then I'm really hoping I get to continue doing that and seeing all these other events. The big one is seeing the other events. I really wish I could see CMFS next event, but I know I'm going to be called out for work before that happens. And just all those are just so much fun to me. Going to check those out, chilling, relaxing, saying hello to everybody, maybe meeting someone new.
Okay. So over the years, what, with everything included, such as the new events, jukeboxes, radio stations, is there any moments that you would consider precious memories?
Ooh. The odd one out is I guess the weird one was it's the realizing that people knew that I ran these. For a very long time, I was used to people not knowing who I was and not even being a background character relative to these because no one knew it was me. And that was really fun. And just people starting to realize that and going, hey, what's up? Man, there's so many, and I can't. An early one for a precious movie, just in general for VRchat. This was called. We call it the Great Pug Space Program. This is a funny thing. So long ago, before the moon was removed from the Great Pug, when it was still like an actual thing and not part of the skybox, you used to be able to fly out there until Easy 8 cheat sheet came out. And that little bit of time before Easy 8 the moon was removed, we had a group of people. What happened? Okay, so three guys in this camera head avatar kept showing up. They kept on going down instance of the jukebox. And I'm like, they keep on joining ones that are like mostly empty. I'm like, and I just joined them. I caught them on the second to last one, going, "What are you doing?" And they told me their idea, and I kind of brushed off the first time. Then my friend Candy went like, "All right, this is too funny. We got to go help them." And what happened was we had over 3/4 of the instance in this camera avatar that had a chair, and the chair could extend out a little bit of ways. So we had a chain of people going from the back alley of the pug all the way to the moon to try to get someone to land on the moon.
Did you ever make it to the moon?
Yeah, we made it after a little cheating with some flying at the very end, but that was we just didn't have enough people. We needed like 5 more. There wasn't enough people in the instance.
Oh, I could see.
We still did. It was really fun though.
I could see why that would be a precious memory. That sounds like a hilarious time. One of those very VRchat moments you can only experience if you're in the right place at the right time.
That was an understatement for that one. What was another precious one? I wouldn't call it. What was it? I'm going blank here now. I hate it. Another precious one for me was the time when the Hideout came to me asking me to say, "Hey, here's this. Stay." That was another precious moment to me where they trusted me as an outsider with their banner and stuff, and going, "Hey, we want you to stay. We want you to keep playing them and stuff." And that was very trustworthy, and I love that ever since.
Okay. Is it moments like those that keep you playing VRchat?
Yes, very much so, those moments. And then there's also just the regular Friday nights once in a while, and more and more now it's gotten to more just seeing friends constantly going around saying hello to people. More and more. That are the random ideas for random shit posts and memes. like I may have been a little evil and hit a smoke detector in a furry hideout public instance that did the low battery beep from the avatar, so you couldn't find it.
I
Yeah, that was
love
funny
that
though.
idea. Seems like a similar idea to you know how if you have a cricket inside your house, it sounds like it's coming from everywhere but nowhere.
Oh, yeah, very similar, very similar. And I had an idea for another one, but I'm no avatar creator. So, but something really dumb I found I could probably do. I need to play with it and do it. So, you know those weird bots, those AI bots that if you stand in a circle, you can talk to it and pick up the voice.
Mm. Yes.
Think very similar, but using this system I have here, I can link the audio using Voice Meter Banana and VBand and send that VBand voice to another instance as the output and basically making a payphone.
That would be cool.
Well, it doesn't even, it would just be funny. It's like between instances, like, hello? Like, I wish I knew how to do it with like a payphone where if one person picks up one end, the other one would start ringing using the Udon system and stuff like that. But was it not whatever that, I forget what that system's called, and the OBS, yeah, that was it. OSC.
Even
Using
if
that system, but
even if you just connect the jukeboxes, if you wait for someone to scream at the jukebox, change the song, and then just turn on the mic as they're screaming at it, so other people, the instances, have to explain why it's not changing the song, and no one knows what's going on.
I have done something similar to that because I can hotkey into these when I have it set up properly. Right now I'm not. It's just kind of a dummy. I'm able to immediately hotkey into all of them at one shot, and I have done it where it's like the owner of the lights are dead, you left your lights on, or something stupid like that before, just randomly.
Okay. So,
Or I've done it once when I was moderating, and someone was doing something stupid, and I hotkeyed into it, and it said the username. Could you stop being an idiot?
I could see why you'd have a lot of fun with those.
Oh yes.
Indeed. So, of everything you've experienced after you left the pug, what have been some of your favorite events that you've been to and you think others should go see?
The big one was the Vrchat event, and first was Vrchat was the first one I ended up on Corvette, and then the other one that was really awesome was Cease and Assist. His Cease and Assistant, the first one, not the Rockfall. I sadly couldn't make the Rockfall. Those were just so much fun and incredible to go see and check out.
Okay.
To me, and just recently another group I discovered was Waterwolf, and they've been a lot of their pop-up stuff is really fun.
Okay. I've seen Waterwolf around, but I don't know who they are. Would you mind explaining?
So I don't know too much about them either. I know they're a fairly large group. They don't do much advertising, and they also do they do a lot of pop-up events. There are a lot of portal. They make a lot of the guys are world makers, avatar creators, and they just do it as a straight up hobby. Some of these guys are absolute geniuses with AV and audio and things like that. It's incredible. They also do some of the portals for some of the furry cons across the U.S.
Oh wow!
So it's really cool. Like they did Anthrocons this year. That was the group that ran it.
Okay. So now that you're mentioning furry conventions, you mentioned earlier that you went to one yourself. What was that like? Are you glad you went?
I am very much so when I went. I was very hesitant when I started out, but it turned out a whole lot of fun and basically turning into a gigantic VRChat instance to me.
Oh, really?
Granted, I ran around with a Valve Index on my head and a PC on my back, a fake PC on my back, and I had I had 3D printed Index controllers and 3D printed Valve trackers, Vibe trackers, walking around. And I played the VRChat loading screen music the whole time, walking around. It was great.
Sounds hilarious. No, are you glad? Are you happy you went to that experience in general? And what kinds of things did you do there?
Oh, it was so much fun. I haven't had fun like that since I was a kid. It was just, it was great to just be myself that I am in VRChat. IRL for once. That was such an interesting experience because that's how I treated it. It's just, I just acted like my idiot self in VR, but IRL, and everyone was just using their usernames instead of using our own. We just all use our usernames from that we're all there for friends. And some of the awesome experiences I did was of course just run around. The Furry Hideout ran a panel. We ran a panel on the first day, and I got to experience how to run. We see a panel, how that runs, and that was a lot of fun. And thanks, sword. Hang on, but yeah, it was just so cool to see that. Oh, I have to reset. Sorry,
Don't be sorry.
but yeah, hang on, I'm scaling up. There we go. There, I gotta fix that. But yeah, it was just, and then going, what was it? Just all the different places, going to see the fireworks, and just general shenanigans.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you were able to have that fun experience, especially for your first time.
Oh yeah.
So another question I have for you as well is, were there anybody in VRChat that kind of acted as a mentor or someone who gave you advice that you appreciate, or that you've met in VRChat that you would that things they've said stuck with you or things they taught stuck with you?
mentor. So it was hard starting out because everyone, I had my friends that were just rooting me on going why or laughing with me at the stupidity, the absurdity of this starting out because no one else ever had done this before. At least for my friend group, a lot of the people didn't use Voice Man and Banana because the audio wasn't the best out of it. But then again, VRChat's voice audio was not the best out of it in general. So, So I did that. So no one really knew that. No one really knew the operating system, if you could even bypass it. The only reason why I even found out that glitch, it was a glitch that was, I guess, in there on purpose, apparently, for someone else long ago in VRChat history. I ended up in a movie night with, I don't know if he's like a higher, one of the, I can't remember his name, but I don't know if he's a dev or something, but he just went and told like, hey, there's this weird, I was talking about it and complaining that I can only have one on each computer, and I was running like two cheap laptops, I want more. And he told me that glitch that let you run more than one on the same operating system without using Steam. And it went haywire after that for the down here starting out. And then that's how it started with the pug side. Then I ended up in the hideout, and Janie was, I guess I wouldn't say a mentor, but it's just a huge help in starting that all out. And then, of course, you have Lieutenant Shadow coming in and helping and using his world a lot and helping me make sure I can stay there and not have to worry about people accusing me of ripping and stuff like that, and people trusting me and knowing that these have no harm. It's an idiot that has too much money to burn on stupid things, I guess.
Okay. Well, that's awesome to hear that you're able to meet those kinds of people, and someone in a higher up of a dev of sorts told you about the glitch that allowed you to do those things. Were those interactions you expected to have in VRChat at all?
I'm not really. I never expected that because I was just kind of bitching in the background. It seems to how I've had two instances of that where a dev or somebody goes up and tells me the simple fix of this and going, oh wait. The second time apparently I got real drunk and really drunk, and I was complaining about only having 10 on one operating system, and then magically like a week later I complained to some dev of VRChat. I don't remember or anything. And that's how that weird thing with the saying you can run more than 10 now on one operating system. So that's the two instances of that story. I would, and circle back to the mentor thing. I guess the closest one I could say to mentor right now has been Glitch, which has been helping me trying to think of a better way to move forward with these. What can I do to move forward? I'm trying to plan something to move forward with them and see what happens.
Okay.
I'm hoping to do next winter.
So what are your plans moving forward with only be able to run so many of these? As you said, 12. What do you want to do? What are your aspirations with these jukeboxes?
The aspirations really is to kind of go back to playing the classic rock, since we haven't been able to really do the Hideout one, and with just maybe continue with the Hideout one, or just do more for continue with doing music from furry artists or artists here in VRC to add to it. But really, it's more of me wanting to try to do something more independent, and so I can be. Mostly, it's just because I want to start kind of being known for doing these, and being able to advertise them more actually when I do run them. Because right now I do not want to mess up with the Hideout. Like the Hideout trusts me very much so with these, and I really want to never want to ruin that for them. And I would rather be independent and not have to worry about stepping on anybody's toes if I go independent and have my own station.
Well, I wish you the best in that, and hopefully you can get to something like that. I wish you the best of luck in there. What made you want to go independent?
The big one was just so I can advertise with these more, and I have people that's been wanting to do stickers, do some stickers, do some posters, just to add to walls and stuff. But I couldn't do that because then I would have to go through the Furry Hideout staff and go through that, and I didn't want to waste anybody's time through any kind of issue, if there's any issues or anything like that, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So if I do it more independently with just me, I'm able to have a lot more freedom with that.
Okay. Well, with that said, before we start wrapping up, I want to ask you a few other questions. First is, where did you get your VR chat name from? Oh,
you respawn.
Second time that, like, I did one before with Blue Oasis where I did that, and I clicked a pin, and the camera just respawned me. Sorry.
But you're good. You're good. Please, that's not the only hardware or software issue today. It's amazing. Well, the second one. So I got this username because I'm originally from West Virginia. And I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. But yeah, no, I got my username from originally living in West Virginia, living there for a long time. And I just thought of the name Mountainman. Unironically, I didn't realize until after I made the name, because I remembered long ago my Xbox username was Country Boy US, so I was like, oh, that's even more fitting. And that's how I ended up getting the Mountainman username.
Okay. And the avatar you're currently in, what makes you want to use it for so long? As you mentioned, you wore it for 4 years.
Well, this is gonna be an interesting one for you. I don't know if you can put this one in. So long ago in 2020 and 2021, the Great Pug had a notorious issue with a certain group wearing white sheets and stuff like that. So as a messed up joke, someone gave me this avatar that I knew that had a bunch of that stuff on it, and I did it as a joke to run around and piss them off, acting like I'm their commander or something stupid like that. And to piss them off, and I realized, and then I edited it, worked on Avatar with it, and actually taught myself a little bit of Blender with it, and realized, hey, this one's not bad, and people were laughing and funny about it, so I actually kept it, removed all the no stuff, and realized I just like it, and people just know me as this. I hanged around. I wore it for good like 3 or 4 months, and then I tried to switch out of it. Kind of not really. People were kind of going confused who I was, because people by that time already knew I was in this thing, because the avatar base was already irrelevant at that time, even at that time. And I just kind of stuck with it because people just know who I am in this, and I just been liking it ever since. And I always, once in a while, I still get compliments about about it, of how unique it is and stuff like that. And it's, I mean, yeah, it's very basic to modern standards of VR chat, but I mean, I still enjoy it.
Hey,
Mm,
as long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters in the end.
oh yeah.
Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time and letting us get to know you, learn about the jukeboxes and furry radio and your experiences in VR chat. So thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to meet you, Mountainman. Thank you.
I appreciate you doing this. Appreciate all these. I have to check them. I'll have to go continue checking these out when I'm on the road for work this fall.
Well, we have enough to keep you busy on your entire road trip. I think we have like over 200 of these.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't forget it. Yeah, here's the thing, but I drive 13-hour days sometimes, or I'm on a job site for 14-hour days and have one earbud in.
Well, hopefully we can keep you company on your road trip.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone wishes to reach out and find you at the jukeboxes, how would they do that?
The best bet is through my Discord, which is mountain_man_. But the other option is just do the hideout. If you're there, you can find my username there relatively easily. So that's the best way to ever get a hold of me. That's the only way I can really get a hold of.
Okay.
I do have a Twitter, but I never really use it.
Well, hopefully if someone's interested in hanging out in VR chat Furry Hideout or the Pug,
Yeah,
hopefully they'll be able to swing by and listen to the jukebox and hang out with you.
Oh yeah, I'll be around. Hopefully, if these are on. I'm on. If these things are running, I'm home. So that's the best answer for you for that.
Well, that's good to know. Well, with that said, fun fact, midway through the podcast, Raptor came back from doing the trailer, so I can give him the closing this time. But before I do that, I'll ask you, the audience, a question. What is your favorite VR chat artist? There's lots of them. I'm sure some of you watching at least know of one. Let us know in the description, or right down in the comment section, who you like. And with that said, Mr. Raptor, why don't you do the thing?
You got it. Folks, no matter what you do or how you do it, but go over to the jukebox and talk to the god and go, play my favorite song, you bitch. Just don't eat me. And we'll talk to you later. Bye. Take care.